Hi there, I'm Miss. Welcome to my channel where I share resources, mentors, YouTube videos, books that have been life-changing for me. Today's video is the follow-up to my recent forgiveness series. I have had so many people reach out to me, close family friends, people that were just acquaintances, a couple that I didn't even know, who were still struggling with forgiveness. Some of them knew they were still struggling with forgiveness. Some of them didn't even realize they still had some issues to deal with. I wanted to share with you some more things that I have found out about forgiveness, what I learned throughout this process, see if something that resonates with you and maybe helps you. Some of the people that reached out, it wasn't even about their own forgiveness. They had a family member or a friend who was struggling to forgive and asking the question, how do I forgive this person that did X, Y, or Z to me? One of my friends that reached out to me after watching the videos was upset. They knew that it was what I went through was a difficult situation. Watching the videos, wish they had done more to help. And this person could not have done any more to help. This person helped me financially. This person helped me with legal advice, relationship advice, gave me a place to live more than once. They could not have done any more. This is a lesson not necessarily about forgiveness that I want to mention right here, but it is that when you have a friend or loved one, family member in a difficult situation, you can see the train wreck because you're not emotionally in the actual relationship. You just see what your friend or family member is going through and you want to help. The one thing you need to understand is there is nothing you can do to save that person other than to be there for them when they need you, to be the ear, the shoulder. If they ask for your advice, give it. No one can physically remove someone from a situation. Just get that out of your head. You can't do it. Looking back, I realized I went to family and friends for the wrong reasons. I went to them at the time. I believe I was looking for someone to save me, someone to fix him, someone to, once I realized you can't fix someone else, then fix me. I tried to fix me. What did I need to do with myself to change myself to make him happy? Ultimately, I realized we were just a bad match. I no longer have bitterness towards my ex at all, not even a little bit. I can now look back on the memories and focus on the positive memories instead of the negative memories. Feel good about it because we have a daughter together. Love my daughter. She's the best thing that ever happened. He was 50% of that. So I have to still love and appreciate him for that. We now have grandchildren together. It's important to get over those bitterness and nasty feelings with a former spouse when you have children together. Your children are the ones that are going to benefit from that. You'll benefit, but your children will too. And they're the most important ones. What I mainly want to say there to my friends who thought that they didn't do enough, I am so grateful to my family and friends. They need to understand that everything I went through, my whole relationship, all of that was a learning process. Every hardship we go through helps build our resilience, and it's important to build resilience as we grow in life. It's the only way you can grow mentally, emotionally. We continue to grow, and that resilience builds. Every tough situation I've ever been through was building my confidence to grow more and to be able to handle tougher challenges that came along. Don't negate what your friend or family member has to go to learn those lessons. As parents, we want to stop our children from making the same mistakes that we made. But I want to say that sometimes those lessons they need to go through to build their resilience. If they just listen to you and don't try anything, the resilience doesn't build. That's what I wanted to say about resilience. Not only did it build my resilience, my relationship that I went through. My ex-husband worked for an oil and gas company, and I grew up around oil and gas. But I learned so much from him. I learned so much from him, from drilling to completions to production of conventional. I would not have the job I have now in oil and gas had I not learned some of those things from him. So it was not wasted. That was a huge learning for me that I have to give him credit for. My relationship helped me to build my intuition. It helped me to learn to recognize red flags that feeling we have in our gut that some call our intuition, and it helped me build that and improve it and hone it and fine tune it. That's another lesson that my relationship taught me. My relationship taught me why jealousy is so detrimental to relationships, and to really delve into why we're jealous and why it's bad for a relationship. I learned a lot from that. I am closer to my daughter. I am closer to my close friends. I am closer to my family members because of what I went through in my marriage and subsequent divorce. That would not have happened without going through all that. So I don't regret those things. Now, I think it's important that we look back and recognize the positives of what we went through so that you learn from it and it's worth it. It makes it worth it. It helps you get to forgiveness. It helps you to get rid of bitterness when you can go back and find the positives. Another thing I really learned, and this is something I say to myself daily now, and when I have friends going through a rough time, I try to point out to them. Right now it might seem really bad, but look back over your life at the other obstacles you've overcome, other bad situations that you have been through, and recognize that life is always working out for me. Say that to yourself, life is always working out for me. I've never been through a bad situation that I didn't end up in a better place on the other side of it. Look back and see if the same is true for you. It was huge for me. And like I say, it's something I say every single day now. I just believe life is always working out for me. There were what I consider 7 huge takeaways to that series. Now that I've done the series, I've been through the editing, I've published them, talked to people, 7 things that I feel are the biggest takeaways that I hope you get when you hear them, or that maybe you got these as the series was unfolding in front of you. And I want you to be open to these and really think about them. The first one that I mentioned was, when you forgive someone, you are the biggest beneficiary. You are the one that will benefit the most. Your health increases. You have less stress, less depression, less anxiety, less bitterness. You become a more caring person, a more gentle person, a more empathetic person, a more sympathetic person. There are so many benefits to it that you just need to really dive into all those benefits. When you're struggling to forgive, go back and remind yourself, write them down if you need to, and remind yourself, this is what I'm going to benefit from by forgiving this person. That's the number one takeaway I want you to get. The number 2 big takeaway, and I don't even know that I talked about it in the 3 previous videos, is dis-ease. It's D-I-S-ease, disease, dis-ease, which means a body not at ease. Some people may not agree with me on this, but every bit of disease, I truly believe, comes from our thoughts, comes from negative emotion that we have in our life. We create it. And I know that there's going to be people that argue on that. You don't have to believe how I do. I'm just telling you what I believe. You can study on it, go search for it. I certainly did. I don't want to have arthritis all my life. I don't want to develop a life-threatening disease. So, guard your thoughts. Unforgiveness, a cold heart, and unforgiveness is going to create disease in your life. Number 3 is, forgiving is ultimately about control. You have the control to forgive someone. That is in your hands. That is in your control. And one of the reasons we struggle to forgive is we believe by having the control that we still have power. But the mistake is, it's actually the opposite. You're actually giving the person who hurt you control over your emotions and your actions. You're putting the power in their hands still. They're still affecting your life. So that control you think you have, you actually don't have. You've given it to them. You've given them your power. That's a reason why, it's an important reason why to forgive is to get your control back. You get to make the decision. It's ultimately your decision and your decision alone. You get to choose. It's a choice. Number 4, and this is a misconception that I did not address in the previous videos that I think is extremely important. Forgiving does not mean that what you're saying is that the hurt that they did to you, that it was all okay. It's okay now. And that's not what it means at all. You're simply saying you're no longer going to let that hurt you anymore. You are forgiving it. It's done. You're moving on with your life. Take the lessons that you learned from that situation. And I will give you the example. One of the things I talked about in my previous video was the woman who had been my friend and mentor that took my horse that I did not want to lose. There were so many lessons that I've really had to come to learn them through this process just the last few weeks. One of the lessons was this person, I heard this person talk badly about people that were her friends. I saw this woman stab other people that were friends in the back. You've heard people say, if you're friends with someone and they're gossiping about other people, they're going to do it to you. In my mind, I thought, well, I'm not going to give her something to gossip about. I'm not going to give her, a reason to stab me in the back. The error in that is, no, I didn't do any of that. However, she just took it upon herself. It's what she wanted. It had nothing to do with what I wanted. I did not mean enough to her. She did not care enough about me. She cared more about herself. Had she been my friend, truly my friend, she would have come and asked me when my ex contacted her about buying the horse. She should have said, is this what you want? Because I don't want to do something that's going to hurt you. If you agree to selling your horse, then I want to buy it. We had some conversations prior to it happening. The conversations were simply what my lawyer was trying to determine the value of our horses so that they could be split equitably. That was the only reason I talked with her about if we had to sell our horses. I never said I wanted to sell my horse, but when my ex approached her about it, she didn't even come to me to ask me if I was on board with it. I'm only mentioning all of this so that you know there are lessons that you learn when people hurt us. We put ourselves in situations to get hurt sometimes, a lot of times actually. We don't recognize that. We don't want to take ownership that we were in a situation that we could get hurt in. We don't want to let them off the hook. And forgiving them is not letting people off the hook. I did say this in the previous videos. It's not dropping the charges against them. What they did was wrong, and nothing makes that better. Nothing makes that better. Forgiving isn't about what they did being okay. It's never okay. You've just accepted that it happened. You've stopped wishing it hadn't happened. And you're saying, I'm not going to let that person have power over me anymore. I want to be a better person. I'm going to take a lesson from that. That lesson might stick in your mind in another situation, something you come upon that maybe affects your actions to where you don't make a mistake like that. That was number 4. Number 5, I kind of mentioned this in number 3 about forgiveness being a choice. Forgiveness really is a choice. And what you really need to get with this is it is not a gift that you give that person. It is a gift you give yourself. It is a gift that you give yourself because of all the benefits that you benefit from by forgiving. Number 6 is have humility. Humility is you don't believe you know everything. You are willing to say, maybe I was wrong about part of it. Maybe I misunderstood. We don't ever know everything. Have you ever been around people that you don't even want to talk to them? They walk into a room because no matter what you're talking about, they know it all. Socrates, a quote from Socrates, and I'm just going to paraphrase here. Socrates said, I know I'm smarter than you because I know I don't know everything. Have humility when you're dealing with having to forgive someone. Know that they may have seen things differently than you did. I think that's going to help you in the forgiveness process. When you recognize, I did talk about this before, every single one of us, we're human, we make mistakes. That's just a given. Hopefully we learn from those mistakes. Hopefully our mistakes don't hurt other people, but it happens. We absolutely do hurt other people, intentionally and unintentionally. I've talked about that in the previous videos. It's going to happen. If you're going to be really harsh and judge someone, you really need to take a look in the mirror as well and know, don't you deserve forgiveness for things you've done? If you want forgiveness, you got to be willing to forgive other people. Here's a few things that I learned going through this process besides what I just talked about here. I just want to talk about a few other things. Everybody is going to hurt you. Everybody that you're close to, your family, your close friends, acquaintances, co-workers, bosses that you work for, team members. Everybody's going to hurt you. A spouse, a relationship, significant other. What you have to decide is, and ask yourself, are they worth it? Are they worth hurt that may come along? So we need to be choosy about who our friends are. We do get to choose our family. We don't get to choose our blood relations, but I'm a big believer that just because we're blood doesn't mean we have to be family. I have several people I consider family that are no blood relation at all, and I have some blood relations. I don't like to claim them. You know, some people, just bad people, just don't want to be around them. I don't want them part of my inner circle. I can't trust them. Be choosy about who you have as your inner circle. Know that everyone's going to hurt you. Ask yourself, are they worth it? Are they worth whatever hurt that can happen? That's a good question to ask yourself. Another thing to recognize is that every single person, every single person out there has good in them and bad in them. We all have the things within us, certain situations that will bring out our bad side, will bring out bad actions that maybe we regret later. Some people are more bad, but they do have some good. In this situation, my example with the horse, the good that I am really trying to focus on is this woman was a mentor to me first before I thought we were friends. And I learned so much from her and her husband. I would not have learned how to train that horse had it not been for her. I have to be grateful for that because I enjoyed every single moment of that. I enjoyed the competitions that we went to together. I don't want to take away from those things by just focusing on the bad. Try to recognize the good in people. Try to understand maybe their perspective, where they were coming from, what could have caused them to maybe misunderstand the situation. I think we should do that in everything, not just with forgiveness, but always be looking for the good in people. One of the questions that I received from a couple different people was, okay, I think I've forgiven, but how do I forget? You don't forget. You may never forget. You have to realize that every memory that we have is in, think of our brain as a database, a computer. Everything you see, hear, touch, taste, smell goes in as data, and it stays there. It never disappears. It's never deleted. You can't just delete it. What you can do is, just like on a computer, delete a file, but you can write over it. And what I mean by that is, if you have a really painful memory, after you've really dealt with it, you can focus on goods. Every time that bad memory that comes to you, you can shift your mind, do a mind shift, and immediately start thinking about something good. And if you just do that a lot and practice, eventually you don't think about it anymore. Is it gone from your memory? No, it's never completely gone. So don't expect to forget. The pain lessens with forgiveness. The pain will lessen with them, even when those memories come back. There are going to be things that bring those memories back to the surface for you. That's why it's so important to take care of things in the beginning, to deal with the hurts immediately, to stand up for yourself, so that later on you don't have these things to deal with. That's the plan, but unfortunately things are going to happen, so you have to deal with them. So if you get to the forgiveness, get to where you can forgiveness, understand the importance of forgiveness, then when those memories pop up, you're able to deal with them and they're not so painful. Another reason people struggle with forgiveness is their own guilt. They don't face what they themselves did wrong. In just about any given situation, there is something that we do wrong. We are either misunderstood, we weren't clear in our talk, in our speech, how we acted. You have an ownership in a part of it. I believe in every situation, but there may be some that I'm just not thinking of, where someone hurt you and there was absolutely nothing that you did to bring that on. So don't be sending me hate messages that I'm wrong on that. I very well may be wrong on that, but I think I can look at myself, and most of the time there was something there is some part of it that I have to take ownership in. And once you take ownership in the things that you did wrong, you can then forgive yourself for them, because you're a human and you make mistakes, just like you're going to forgive someone else. A big part of forgiveness is forgiving yourself for your part in the mistakes. That's extremely important, because guilt weighs you down. Guilt lets you not let go of stuff. You just keep beating that drum of what they did wrong, and you want to be justified with your hate and your bitterness towards them. So that's why you just keep going with the negativity. Start with looking at your own part of it and dealing with your guilt. One thing that helps you can get rid of guilt is when you recognize what you do wrong and you say, oh, okay, I've learned from that. I'm never going to do that again. That, you have true remorse over what you did wrong. That will help you forgive yourself. Another thing that helps is you don't try to justify what you did. You really have to watch out for people who justify when they hurt you. Well, yeah, I hit her, but she did this. If she hadn't have backmouthed me, I wouldn't have hit her. That's just a justification. People who use justifications, they always have a reason. They always, they come up with something valid that makes you feel like, oh yeah, well, they were in the right. No. When you're truly sorry for something you've done, a hurt you've caused, you're sorry. That's it. No justification. You can't give a reason. Don't talk about what led up to it. No, you're sorry. If you want to maintain a relationship with someone that you have hurt, that's where an apology comes in. Because if you don't apologize for your part of the wrongdoing, they're never going to get over it. They're not going to get to forgiveness. Chances are they won't get to forgiveness. But if you don't care to ever have a relationship with them again, they don't even have to know that you're forgiving them. Part of forgiveness, when I say to forgive someone, you're giving that gift to yourself. They don't ever have to know that you've forgiven them. You don't ever have to have a conversation with them again. It doesn't mean you have to resume the relationship where it was previously. No, you found out you don't want that person in your life anymore. Two things that I found that I think people will find extremely helpful, and you just need to try it. The only way you're going to know if this is helpful to you or not is to try it. Journaling is number one. I talked about that a little bit. It was something I just started recently. It's hugely helpful. Getting your thoughts down on paper, doing a brain dump is what they call it. When you're struggling with emotions, you're struggling to remember something, write it down. Keep your journal with you. It will be helpful anytime you need to go back and look something up. It just helps getting those feelings out. You will find by writing it down that you get those emotions out of your head, out of your body, and then you can look at it objectively. It almost is like by reading it. I can tell you myself, going through those previous videos, I was so emotional in those videos, but I had to edit and cut out all my ums and suhs and ohs and all that to try to make it be a little bit more easier for you to watch, to cut those out. I had to watch it over and over, and it helped desensitize me. I can now look at it objectively and not feel the pain from the memories, from what I went through at that time. Journaling is something that can really help with that. The other thing that was hugely helpful to me, and I've done this since November, is meditation. I'm not going to tell you how to meditate. I'll tell you how I meditate. It's a 20-minute exercise. I have a YouTube video by Clark Kegley. It's his higher meditation. It's a specific music that is like 500 and some megahertz. That helps me focus, and I use Emily Fletcher's technique, Ziva meditation, and I do that 20 minutes twice a day, first thing in the morning at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But you need to go learn from those people who are the experts. I'm just going to tell you that works for me. If you need to know more about it, I'll gladly tell you, but I think I'd rather see you learn from experts. One of the reasons that meditation is so powerful is meditation helps you focus. It also helps you self-assess. Self-assess is extremely important. I can't tell you how important it is. Just trust me on this. I will probably do a video on self-assessment at some point because I'm learning how important it is. And meditation does help with that. The last thing I want to mention is number 7. The seventh thing of what I really learned, that I really hope you get from this series and this follow-up, is when you have a friend or family member in a bad situation, you cannot save them. I mentioned that a little earlier in the video, but I want to go into it just a tiny bit deeper here. You can't save someone. And if you're someone in a bad relationship, no one's coming to save you. You're it. You are the only person that can save yourself. And to save yourself, you've got to educate yourself. I spent so much time feeling trapped, feeling like, okay, this is my bed. I made my bed. Now I have to stay in it. You know, divorce, did not want to be divorced. You're just, don't depend on someone else. You can depend on your friends and family to help you with things like finances, a place to stay, getting you correct legal counsel, getting you into a good marriage counselor, helping you find a life coach, recommending books. There are these kinds of things that your family members, friends can help you with. They are not going to save you. There is no knight in shining armor coming. Let me tell you what a lot of people do. A lot of people in a bad relationship will be looking around, not even knowing they're looking around, and they're looking around and another person comes in the picture and they have just made that situation 10 times worse. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm guilty of that. I am so guilty of that. My infidelity, it wasn't just tit for tat. It was looking for someone that was nice to me. That the first person that comes along and said something nice to me, bam, there I go, making just nothing but more and more mistakes. Do I regret that? Yes. I will regret that the rest of my life. There were times during my divorce, I really, really, really disliked my ex, and everybody that was there right with me knows how much I disliked him at that time. I don't feel that way anymore, but I did for a long time. Even at those lowest points when I wanted to just choke him, I still regretted and felt remorse for the infidelity. Doesn't matter that he did it as well. That has nothing to do with me. My infidelity, I hurt my own morals and integrity and my character. That is, yes, I hated hurting him as well, but it hurt me. It hurt my daughter. It hurt our boys. It hurt our friends. It hurt our family. It's just hurtful. So when you are in a bad situation, just get yourself out of it and work on you. Work on you and become the partner you want. You become the partner that you want from someone else. If you want someone to be good to you, you've got to be a good person yourself. Focus on that. Get yourself out of a bad match, out of a relationship that's not working for you, out of a business partnership that's not working for you, out of a family situation that's not working for you, and go work on yourself. That's where the self-assessment comes in. That's where it comes in, where we constantly need to be learning. Those are such important things. I believe that those 7 things, I'll just mention them very, very quickly here again, and then I'm going to be done. Number 1 was you are the biggest beneficiary. That was number 1. Number 2 is what disease does to our bodies. And when you have unforgiveness in your heart, when you feel bitterness, when you feel jealousy, when you any negative emotion creates disease in our body. That was number 2. Number 3 is forgiving is about control. You're in control of it. You're in control. Remember that. It's all up to you. Number 4, we believe if we forgive, that means we're saying what was done to us, the hurt is okay. And that's not what it is. That's not what forgiveness is. Doesn't mean it was okay. Doesn't mean you deserve it. Number 5, forgiveness is the gift that you give yourself because it's a choice you get to make. Number 6 is have humility. It's not your job to judge others. It's not your job to say that they're a bad person. That is up to our God, whoever you pray to. It's their job to judge. You forgive for you. Have humility, and you'll be able to get there sooner. The 7th thing I talked about wasn't necessarily about forgiveness, but the bad relationships. Get yourself out of bad relationships. You're going to prevent yourself from having things to forgive later if you get yourself out of a bad relationship. Stop waiting for someone to come along and save you. You're the only one that can save yourself. I hope that this series has been helpful to a lot of people. I was hoping it would just be helpful to one person, but I'm glad to hear it has been helpful to several. I hope it helps more people. I hope you'll recommend it to friends or family that you have that are struggling with forgiveness, that have questions about it. You don't know what to say to them. Just give them the link to my channel. When you subscribe, other people get to see the video. So please don't forget to subscribe. If you like what I'm talking about, hit the like button. If you have more information that you can give me, something maybe that I didn't think about, feel free to put it in the comments. You know, who knows, there'll be a later discussion about it. Reach out to me on the Facebook page. Make sure you follow the page. Don't miss life. Miss is MIS. Thanks for listening, and I hope you all have a really good day.